Imagine you're holding a glass of water. Not heavy, right? But hold it for 5 minutes, 10, an hour, a day, it becomes unbearable. Now here's the twist. The water didn't get heavier. Your grip did. That's how the human mind works. The longer we hold on to things, expectations, regrets, grudges, control, the more they begin to crush us. And yet, we keep holding on. Why? We think letting go is weakness, that it's giving up, that it's surrender. But what if letting go is actually the most powerful thing we can do? What if clinging is what's making us anxious, exhausted, and stuck, and letting go is the way out? Right now, someone watching this is carrying something they don't even realize is hurting them. Maybe it's a story about who they think they're supposed to be. Maybe it's a betrayal they've never forgiven. Maybe it's a fear of what happens if they stop trying to control everything. But here's the truth I want to explore with you. Letting go is not the end of responsibility, it's the beginning of sanity. It's not about apathy, it's about clarity. It's about finally allowing yourself to breathe. Let's start with the ancient wisdom. In the East, especially in Taoism and Buddhism, letting go is not just a practice, it's a path to liberation. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Not because wanting is bad, but because clinging to what we can't control creates a war between reality and our expectations. We want people to act a certain way. We want life to unfold on our terms. We want certainty in a world that never promised it. But life isn't a contract, it's a current. And here's where we mess up. Instead of flowing with that current, we dam it up. We try to freeze people where they are, freeze time, freeze ourselves in an image of perfection. And then we wonder why we feel stuck. So let me ask you something deep, something you may not have stopped to ask yourself lately. What are you holding on to right now that is no longer serving you, but you're afraid to release? Is it the need to be right? The idea that you must always be strong? The belief that your worth is tied to productivity? Or maybe it's a relationship you've outgrown but can't let go of because it feels like failure. We all have our version of that glass of water. And here's what most people don't realize: letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose peace over pressure. Think about this. When you forgive someone, are you saying what they did was okay? No. You're saying, I refuse to carry this anymore. You're giving yourself permission to be free. That's what letting go really is, an act of self-liberation. And it's not just spiritual, it's neurological. Science backs it up. Chronic stress, overthinking, rumination, they're all tied to our inability to release. Our brains literally wire themselves around what we obsess over. By letting go, we retrain our minds. We shift from survival to presence, from fear to flow. But let's be honest, letting go is hard. Why? Because letting go means facing the unknown. And the unknown is terrifying. Letting go means stepping into a space where we no longer get to hide behind control, behind identity, behind the story we've always told ourselves. It means surrendering the illusion that we're in charge of outcomes. And that illusion? It's addictive. We hold on because it gives us a false sense of power. But deep down, we know it's just scaffolding. And when it finally collapses, when the job ends, the person leaves, the plan fails, we're left with the raw truth we never really had control to begin with. But that can sound depressing, but it's actually the beginning of freedom. Because once you accept that you don't control everything, you stop acting like you have to. You stop micromanaging your life and start living it. You stop anxiously rehearsing the future and start engaging with the present. You stop carrying what's not yours to carry. And suddenly your nervous system calms down. Your mind clears. Your energy returns. Letting go isn't just a concept. It's a physiological shift, a spiritual reset, a psychological detox. Let's go deeper. Montaigne, the French philosopher, understood this centuries ago. He believed that much of our suffering comes from our obsession with the self, how we look, how we're perceived, what might go wrong. He wrote, "My life has been full of terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened." Sound familiar? That's the mind clinging to imagined disasters. That's the mind refusing to let go of control. Montaigne's antidote, radical acceptance, for relinquishing the need to predict and perfect everything, embracing life as it comes, messy, uncertain, alive. And maybe that's the ultimate move for our mental health, to say yes to life, not the version in our heads, but the one that's actually happening. But to do that, we must let go of the past, of perfection, of needing all the answers, of trying to be someone we're not. Let me tell you a story. There was a monk who carried a woman across a river, even though monks weren't supposed to touch women. Hours later, another monk said, "You broke the rule. You carried her." And the first monk replied, "I set her down hours ago." Why are you still carrying her? That's us, still carrying what we should have set down yesterday, still living in conversations that ended years ago, still defining ourselves by mistakes we've already outgrown, still waiting for closure from people who have no idea they owe it to us. So I'm asking you now, not with judgment, but with love, what are you still carrying that's breaking you down? And more importantly, who would you be without it? Because letting go isn't just about peace. It's about identity. It's about becoming someone new, someone lighter, someone freer, someone who doesn't just survive but lives. Now, here's the practical side. Letting go isn't a one-time event. It's a practice. It's something we do every day. We wake up and we choose to put down the weight. We choose to forgive. We choose to accept the things we cannot change. We choose to stop rehearsing pain and start rehearsing peace. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. Even if we forget and have to start over again tomorrow. Because every time we let go, we're not just releasing the past, we're reclaiming the present. And the present is where healing happens, where joy lives, where you live. So I'll leave you with this, and it's the core of everything. You don't have to hold everything together. You don't have to carry it all. You don't have to fix everyone, prove anything, or be perfect. You just have to let go, and trust that in the space that opens up, something new, something truer will rise. Let's talk about the invisible prison we rarely notice because we built it ourselves. It doesn't have bars, it doesn't have guards, but it's made of expectations, control, perfectionism, and ego. And it's the most dangerous kind of prison because we don't realize we're locked in. We call it being responsible, being ambitious, doing our best. But what we're really doing is exhausting ourselves trying to control what was never ours to control. Let's break it down logically. Why do we try to control everything? Because control gives us the illusion of safety. If I can control this person's reaction, I won't feel rejected. If I can control this project's outcome, I won't feel like a failure. If I can control my environment, I won't be surprised by pain. But here's the philosophical truth. Control is often just fear in disguise. It's fear of vulnerability, fear of uncertainty, fear of being seen as flawed, and perfectionism. That's just ego with a shiny coat. It says, if I can do everything perfectly, no one can criticize me. But I'll be safe. I'll finally be enough. But you and I both know how that story ends. You try harder. You do more. You get the A, the promotion, the praise, but it never feels like enough. Because the goalpost keeps moving. Because perfectionism isn't a destination, it's a trap. And ego. Ego isn't just arrogance. Ego is identity. It's the voice in our heads that says, I have to be this kind of person. I can't admit weakness. I can't let anyone see me struggle. It's the mask we wear to protect ourselves from judgment, but in doing so, we disconnect from authenticity. So here's the deep question I want to ask you. What would it feel like to stop trying to be perfect and just be real? What would it feel like to stop controlling everything and start trusting something greater? This is where letting go becomes not just a mental health tool, but a spiritual revolution. Because when you start letting go of control, perfectionism, and ego, you start experiencing something rare in today's world: freedom. Let me ask you something else. When was the last time you truly rested? Not just physically, but mentally. Rest is impossible in the prison of control. Because even when your body is still, your mind is racing. You're replaying conversations, rehearsing future failures, crafting the perfect version of yourself, managing impressions, holding it all together. But here's the deeper truth: you were never meant to hold it all. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus taught that we should focus only on what is within our control and let go of the rest. Not because we're passive, but because we're wise, because we understand that trying to control the uncontrollable is the root of suffering. And what is within your control? Your responses, your effort, your values. That's it. Everything else, people's opinions, the weather, your past, the economy, whether or not someone loves you back, is outside your control. So here's a radical practice. Every time you feel anxious, ask yourself, am I trying to control something that's not mine to control? If the answer is yes, pause. Breathe. Let it go. Now, let's take this even further. You've probably heard the phrase let go and let God, or surrender to the universe. Whether or not you believe in a specific higher power, the principle is profound. Surrender is not about giving up, it's about giving over. It's about trusting that you don't have to micromanage every detail of life in order to be okay. It's about trusting that you're held, that you're guided, that you're part of something bigger than your to-do list and your image and your metrics. And when you operate from that space, something shifts. You become less reactive, less defensive, less obsessed with outcomes. You start to live from a deeper place, not fear, but presence, not ego, but essence. And that presence, that's the birthplace of peace. Let's get practical. What does letting go actually look like? It looks like saying no, even when people might not understand. It looks like deleting the app that's feeding your comparison addiction. It looks like forgiving someone who never apologized because you deserve peace more than they deserve punishment. It looks like crying when you need to cry. It looks like asking for help. It looks like not having all the answers and being okay with that. It looks like living from the inside out, not the outside in. And yes, it's terrifying. Because the ego hates surrender. The ego wants control. The ego wants to win. But the soul just wants to be free. So here's the paradox. The more you let go, the more you gain. You gain clarity, because your vision isn't clouded by anxiety. You gain energy, because you're no longer wasting it on what you can't change. You gain connection, because you're finally being real. You gain peace, because you're no longer at war with life. And here's the ultimate philosophical twist. Letting go is not a loss. It's a return to your natural state, before the world told you who to be, before trauma taught you to control, before fear built the walls. Letting go brings you back to yourself. And when you're yourself truly, you're mentally healthy, not because life is easy, but because you're no longer resisting it. So I want to ask you to do something brave right now, wherever you are. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what part of me is ready to be released? Maybe it's a grudge, maybe it's a fear, maybe it's the constant need to prove something. Whatever it is, thank it. It served you once. It tried to protect you, but now it's time to let it go, because your mental health depends on it. And your future is asking for it. Let's take this all the way. You've followed the path this far, understanding that letting go isn't weakness, that control, perfectionism, and ego are traps, and that surrender is a kind of strength. But now we arrive at the deepest truth of all. Letting go doesn't just create peace. It reveals who you truly are, and that's the part no one tells you. We think we're afraid of change, afraid of uncertainty, afraid of loss. But what we're really afraid of is meeting the version of ourselves that emerges on the other side. Because once we let go of who we think we are, once we release the roles, the masks, the identities, we're left naked, raw, unfiltered, and that's terrifying. But also, it's the threshold of freedom. Because when you let go of being the strong one, the achiever, the fixer, the people pleaser, the perfect one, you finally meet the whole you. Not the curated you, not the defended you, the real you. And here's the wild part. That version of you doesn't need to prove anything. They're not hustling for worthiness. They're not desperate for validation. They're not addicted to outcomes. They're present. They're alive. They're free. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this. Who are you without your fear? Who are you without the story that says you must always be in control? Who are you when you stop performing? When you stop chasing? When you stop clinging? That's where the real journey begins. And yes, it's uncomfortable, because everything in our culture teaches us to do the opposite. We're taught to hold on, to accumulate, to build an image, to rise and grind, to get more followers, more money, more success, as if any of that will finally make us feel safe enough to relax. But here's the truth. Safety isn't found in control. It's found in surrender. And that surrender isn't passive. It's powerful. It means we stop chasing and start creating. We stop reacting and start responding. We stop fearing the unknown and start dancing with it. Because nothing is more mentally healthy than being at peace with what is. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me. But there's a Japanese concept called mujo. It means impermanence, the understanding that all things, emotions, seasons, relationships, identities are constantly changing. When you embrace mujo, you stop fighting reality. You stop clinging to what must evolve. And in doing so, you find a strange and profound peace. Because now, even loss doesn't destroy you. It refines you. Even endings become beautiful. Even chaos becomes part of the dance. That's the peace beyond control. You know, we often think of peace as a calm lake. Still, serene. But real peace, it's the eye of the storm. It's the unshakable center. It's what remains when everything else changes and you remain grounded, not because you're holding on, but because you've let go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring differently. You care from love, not fear. You care from presence, not panic. You care with open hands, not clenched fists, and that changes everything. Because now, your relationships aren't about control. They're about connection. Your work isn't about proving your value. It's about expressing your essence. Your healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering what's whole. Letting go transforms not just your mind, but your life. And when you start living from this place, you begin to see the world differently. You notice things, the way a breeze hits your skin, the way someone looks at you when they think you're not watching, the quiet space between breaths. You become more alive, not because you did more, but because you released more. And in that release, you discovered the truth: you were never broken. You were just buried under stories, buried under fear, buried under pressure. But now you're emerging, one breath at a time, one release at a time. And it's not always easy. You'll forget, you'll fall back into old habits. You'll try to hold on again. But each time you remember, each time you choose to let go again, you strengthen the muscle of your soul. And eventually, letting go won't feel like death. It will feel like coming home. Now, let's end with a question that could change your life if you're brave enough to answer it honestly. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to control it and started trusting it? What would open up? What would fall away? What would finally have room to breathe? You see, we've been taught that control is strength. But the wisest people, Montaigne, the Stoics, the mystics, the monks, they all knew the secret. True strength is in surrender. Because surrender isn't giving up. It's giving in to something deeper, to life itself. And that life, it's waiting for you. Not when you arrive, not when you've figured it all out, but now, in this breath, in this moment, yours in the choice to let go. So here's your invitation right now. Let go of the grudge. Let go of the perfection. Let go of the pressure. Let go of the story. Let go of the fear. Let go of the need to know how it all ends, and instead be here, fully, freely, finally. Because this sacred, messy, unpredictable moment is where your healing begins. And that is why letting go is the best thing you can do for your mental health. Thank you for watching. Now, what will you let go of today?